Okay, chapter 8, text 1. Arjuna Uvacha Kim tad brahma kim adhyatmam kim karma purushottama abhi adhibhutam cha kim proktam adi daivam kim uchyate. Arjuna inquired, O my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is the self? What are fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? And what are the demigods? Please explain this to me. Purport. In this chapter, Lord Krishna answers different questions from Arjuna, beginning with what is Brahman. The Lord also explains karma, fruitive activities, devotional service, and yoga principles. The devotional service in its pure form. The Srimad Bhagavatam explains that supreme absolute truth is known as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. In addition, the living entity, the individual soul, is also called Brahman. Arjuna also inquires about Atma, which refers to the body, soul, and mind. According to Vedic dictionary, Atma refers to the mind, soul, body, and senses also. Arjuna has addressed the Supreme Lord as Purushottama, Supreme Person, which means that he was putting these questions not simply to a friend, but to the Supreme Person, knowing him to be the supreme authority, able to give definitive answers. Okay. So we'll read the translation one more time. Arjuna inquired, O my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is the self? What are fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? And what are the demigods? Please explain this to me. So this has been already explained multiple times by Krishna in other contexts, but Krishna will go deeper into this subject matter in chapter 8. So I wanted to see, since we are going to get the answers from Krishna in the coming verses, but since this is the last day of 2021, I would love to do some recap. So I think nothing better than actually going through these questions ourselves. So if you would be so kind, pick one of Arjuna's questions and try to answer them. Okay, what is Arjuna asking Krishna? How would you answer them? What is Brahman? What is self? What are fruitive activities? Anybody? Let's start with what is Brahman? Who wants to go? Yogesh?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
So Brahman can actually refer to, either the self or and the Paramatma as well. But there are two types of Brahman. That is, one is the normal Brahman that you and I are, and the other one is the Parabrahma, that is Bhagavan himself. So Brahman is actually used as in impersonal terms, but we refer to Brahman as Paramatma. I mean Bhagavan, that is. So we are part and parcel of the Parabrahma, which is just like a spark from a flame. The Brahman is a spark from the Paramatma itself. I mean, from the Parabrahma itself.
All right. Anybody wants to add to it or edit it?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Oh, you two are in one screen. Okay.
Yes, Prabhu. Not to add something, but I just wanted to just validate also that Brahman means the impersonal aspect of the Supreme Lord, which is which does not has any personal attributes, but it's an
So Brahma Jyoti, that's the Brahma Jyoti.
It's Brahma Jyoti, exactly. So is that also Brahman?
Contextually, it differs. So Brahman means spiritual. Is Brahma Jyoti spiritual? Yes. Is it Brahman? Yes. Is God spiritual? Yes. Are you spiritual? Yes. So everything is Brahman in that way. So everything is spiritual at its core.
Okay, bro.
But Brahma Jyoti is the impersonal aspect of God, the all-pervading existence of God. That is Brahma Jyoti. Parabrahman is referring to that supreme spiritual personality. And Brahman by itself is anything that is spiritual.
So, just one more thing, Prabhuji, if you allow,
Mhm.
is that I once heard, I don't remember from where, but I heard that many Mayavada philosophers have stated that Brahman is the ultimate platform which can be reached, and by reaching that platform, by reaching our consciousness to that platform, that is the ultimate thing. So, just wanted to know from you that is that understanding correct of Brahman, or is it different?
Sure. I'll give a little story that will help. So there was this village where this district magistrate was coming to visit DM, and the local DM came, and this old lady, she liked this man, and she blessed him. It's like, may you become a head clerk. And this DM was kind of surprised. It's like, why is she blessing me to be a head clerk? I'm a district magistrate. And the local people said, oh, from our village, the highest qualified person that is there is a head clerk. So that's all she knows. And that's her idea of the highest qualification. So she's blessing you to be a head clerk. So similarly, for those who don't know what is beyond Brahman, for them, Brahman is the highest. So in their reality, that is truth, but it is not the absolute truth, right? So because Krishna's effulgence, yes, it is the beginning of spirituality. The Brahma Jyoti is, if you see the structure of the universe, right? There's Devi Dham, there is Shiv Dham, then there's Brahma Jyoti, then there is Vaikuntha planets. And within Vaikuntha, there's Golok Dham, right? So Brahma Jyoti is the beginning of the spiritual existence. And so for those who cannot see beyond Brahman, for them, Brahman is a supreme, right? Head clerk. So like that. Is it true? Yes. Is it complete truth? No. Is there more than Brahman? Yes.
Totally understood, Prabhuji. Thank you for the example. It was really relevant. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else wants to add or edit anything in terms of what is Brahman?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Chandrima Mataji.
Prabhuji, I had just noted down what you had said. So Brahman is the Sat factor in Satchidananda Vigraha. So which says it is smaller than the smallest and bigger than the biggest form. So every entity is a part of the Brahman.
So smaller than the smallest and bigger than the biggest aspect is Paramatma. So Sat refers to Brahman, Sat Chit refers to Paramatma, Sat Chit Ananda refers to Bhagavan. So Paramatma refers to the smaller than the smallest, because Paramatma is there in every anu or every atom. The smallest particle is the Paramatma. So there, but Brahma Jyoti, Brahman is the all-pervading energy of God.
Okay, Prabhuji. And thankfully, I just said and got clarified for me.
Sure.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, Brahman cleared? All right. So next question Arjun asks is, what is the self? Who would like to answer that one? What is the self? Prayash, what is the self?
Self means the soul,
Right.
part and parcel of Krishna.
Okay. Would you like to elaborate?
So we reincarnate and change bodies, but our most fundamental thing is the soul, which soul and ego and intelligence carries away from body to body. So our body might change, but soul doesn't change. So if we say self, so that's the most accurately we can say that is self.
So you are the soul, or you have a soul.
No, I am the soul.
You are the soul. Very good. Thank you, Prash. What are the characteristics of the soul? It doesn't have to be Prash. Somebody else can answer. What are the characteristics of the soul? And I just mentioned them like 1 minute back.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So the tendency of the soul is to all eternally be happy.
Not tendency,
But
traits,
sorry.
characteristics of the soul.
Sorry, the characteristics. So which is Anandamaya. So just because we are, because we are away from Krishna, it is as though the fish has been taken out of water, and we have this tendency to,
Ananda
feel
is
depressed.
one. There's two more. Ananda is one of
Ahankara.
them. Two more. You started with the last.
Sat,
Thank you.
Chit.
Yes, Darshanamasti. Thank you. Sat, Chit, Ananda. That's the nature of the soul. That's the nature of God as well. That's the commonality between God and soul. Is Krishna is infinitely Satchidananda, and we are infinitesimally Satchidananda. That's how we are God-like, right? We have God-like nature. We are conscious. We also like to lord it over, etc. So that's the commonality between God and us, is the characteristics of Satchidananda. Okay, so that is cleared up. Next question Arjun asks, what are fruitive activities? I've gone through this in great details, karma bandhana and whatnot. What are fruitive activities? Somebody had that? Yes, Anand Prabhu, go ahead.
So Prabhuji, like Hare Krishna Dandavata.
Hare
Like
Krishna.
whatever activity we do for some kind of material possession or material result, that is for fruity activity.
Little bit more elaborate, please. You're having a party at home, it seems.
So some other lecture is going on side by Prabhuji. So like three kinds of activities are there, like karma, bikarma. So on that regard, whatever activity we perform for good things like getting something in our life, that is actually fruitive.
Sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you, but thank you, Anand Prabhu. Anybody wants to add? What is fruitive activities? Arjun is asking, what are fruitive activities? Yes. The word fruit, fruitive, phala, right? What is fruitive activities?
So the activities that we do to get a fruit out of it.
Like sow seed. No, true. So elaborate, please. What does it mean?
So in materialistic world, we do different kind of activities for, let's say, our sustenance, for getting a job or whatever that is. So for us, so when we do activities, that's based on the, like, we get this money, we get this job, then we get vacation and all. So we do the activity based on that outcome. So
what's the difference between fruitive activity and devotional activity?
So fruitive activity is what we do to get to the outcome, and like we are doing it for us on sensory enjoyments and like sensory pleasure. But devotional activities are more of like you are doing it for bhakti.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Prayash. Janak Prabhu, would you like to elaborate on that? Fruitive activity. Hare Krishna. Can you hear me, Janak Prabhu? I'm not able to hear you.
Am I audible now, Prabhu?
You are, yes.
Okay, Hare Krishna, Babuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So I believe fruitive activities, yeah, Prayesh Prabhu largely described it. Actually, I think there are probably three gradations. One is like we do for purely our own sense enjoyment, the next level is sometimes people do for charity or for global good. And maybe the ultimate is like we do it for Krishna's enjoyment, So, but that's I feel so 3 levels.
Okay, all right. Anybody wants to embellish that a little bit more and contrast it with devotional activity? Rajrupa, would you like to try?
Yes, Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, as per my understanding, devotional activity is like whatever we do to please the Lord we can categorize those as devotional activities, and fruitive activities are like whatever we are performing for our own enjoyment or our just to fulfill our own desire.
Okay, all right. A very similar statements. So fruitive activity is something like everybody said, that I want something, for that I work really hard to get that something. That's fruitive activity. How is devotional activity different is that in devotional activity also we move towards that goal. We set a goal and we do everything that is required to get to that goal, to get that aspect, but we're not attached to it. Karma bandhana doesn't happen in akarma activities. Karma bandhana means it grabs us, our attention is, if I don't get it, I'll die. We get attached to the fruit. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying, do your duty and leave the output in my hands. You do your 100%, but don't get attached to the outputs, right? So fruitive activity means, it wouldn't be nice to get this and I'm going to do that. And then based on that, from there, I'll get this. And from this, I'll do that. And this one do, so stringing out this whole thing, right? And then somehow man proposes, God disposes, right? We think something and Krishna has something else in mind, or something else happens and we get distraught. So devotional activity is, I'm doing my 100% to get to that same destination, but it's for the pleasure of Krishna. That is the main part. The fact that we are doing our 100%, that's pleasing to Krishna, whether we get the output or not. So our purpose is successful because I have done my duty to the best of my ability. Now karma and Krishna can take care of the rest. As long as I'm doing my part, Krishna is pleased, and that's I'm successful, I'm done, right? But the other side is, no matter what I end up doing, if the fruit is not achieved, then my whole effort was wasted. Does it make sense? Does it clarify difference between fruitive activity and devotional activity?
Yes, Prabhuji.
One can apparently fail and still succeed in devotional life, right? Like one can apparently materially fail and still succeed in devotional life. And one can succeed a lot in material life, but be completely a novice in devotional life. That means at the time of death, all the good work they have done means nothing because they have not done anything in the devotional aspect, which is now what matters when one is in that transition from one body to another, or one body to whatever destination they have. Okay. All right. Very pertinent questions. What is the material manifestation? There's a lot we can say about this. We are all experts on material manifestation. But from Bhagavad Gita, what do we know about material manifestation?
Is it Pancha Tattva?
Okay, please expand.
So earth, water, fire, air, ether are the material manifestation. And
Is there more?
I think so. There are 2 more I forgot. Mind and ego.
There you go.
Okay. So everything we know of in material world, everything is made up of these elements combined. So these are material manifestations.
Correct. What else? What else do we know about their nature? What about their characteristics, Yogesh Prabhu? What are the characteristics of material elements?
As discussed in Srimad Bhagavatam, there are 24 tattvas, and permutation and combination of those lead to material manifestations. And their characteristics is chitta and achit. So either they're conscious, so only the Atma is conscious, and whereas the rest of it is what do you say, just materials.
Yogesh Prabhu, simplify. There's a reason why I'm asking you the characteristics of material, because I just asked you right before that the characteristics of spiritual things. So you already answered the spiritual aspect. What's the material characteristics? What's the characteristics of matter?
So it is what do you say? It is bound to be destroyed.
Okay.
And it is true. I'm not sure how to explain this.
Matter is opposite of spirit. So you have already answered what are the characteristics of spirit. Now just tell me the opposite of it.
Yes.
Huh?
Which is Satchidananda. And
correct.
for
Now what's for matter?
So which is not truth and which is not Anandamaya.
Okay.
And which is not which is not Sat, I mean Chit.
Okay, let's go back to the basics. What does Sat mean? Sat is not referring to truth here. Sat in this context means?
Eternal.
The ultimate.
Thank you. Eternity. Chit means?
Consciousness.
Conscious. Ananda means happiness. So that's spirit. That's the nature of spirit. The nature of matter is?
Temporary.
I'm not sure.
Temporary. Thank you. Nature of matter is? Prash, hold on. You had your chance, Yogesh. Find the opposites, right? So
yes.
What's the opposite of conscious?
Unconscious. I mean, without any conscious. Yes.
Right. Okay. And opposite of happiness is?
Which is the sadness. That is.
Yes.
Dukhale.
So Asat, Achit, Nirananda.
And Asat.
Asat, Achit, Nirananda. Sat, Chit, Ananda. Asat, Achit, Nirananda.
Yes.
So matter is characterized by it's temporary. Today I have a nice car. Tomorrow the car won't work. The engine will break. Everything will fall apart. Seats will tear, etc. It's not conscious. I'm conscious driving the car. The car might have intelligence, but it's not conscious. Doesn't feel anything, right? And happiness, one can say, I love driving. I do. I also enjoy driving the car, but it's not. The happiness cannot be derived from the car. The happiness is within me. I am enjoying going at a fast speed, but the car by itself is not providing that happiness, right? So conscious beings, when they come together, love gives happiness to the soul. Car gives comfort, but love gives happiness. So when two souls connect, or when Supreme Soul and the Jiva connect, there is happiness. That is termed as happiness. So Satchid Ananda, Asat Achid Nirananda. Okay. Anything else? Anybody wants to talk about material nature? Indranath, do you remember anything about material nature? The kleshas that they cause?
Yes, sir. Sir,
Go ahead. I'm seeing Chandrima highlighted and then I'm hearing Indranath, but I'm not hearing him anymore. Okay, whoever has a mic, please speak up. What are the three kleshas that material
Adi Daivik, Adi Bhautik, and Adhyatmik.
Okay, English, please. Thank you for the Sanskrit. English, please. For those of us who don't know.
My mind and body. Sir, hello.
Yes.
Yeah, sir. Actually, I am having some network issues at my. Yeah.
Acha, so your sister. Okay.
Yes,
anyway,
sir.
go ahead.
So it's like the English version, like it's like for like when our own relatives and neighbors do, like own body and mind. And the second one, own body and mind.
Start
And
the
the
sentence with difficulties caused by.
difficulties, yes, difficulties caused by own body and mind. And the second one is natural calamities. And the third one is that other beings.
Yeah, okay, cool. Adi Daivik, Adi Bhautik, Adhyatmik. Okay, so difficulties caused by our own body and mind, difficulties caused by other living entities, and difficulties caused by demigods or natural calamities and things like that. Cool.
Yes.
Thank you very much. So that's all we know about material nature. Now, the last thing Arjun asks Krishna is, what are the demigods? So, what are the demigods? Pinky Mataji, what are the demigods?
Demigods are those strength of the nature which can temporarily fulfill the wishes of the self.
Okay, all right. Darshana Mataji, would you like to add to that? What are demigods?
Ganesha, Shiva, and all are demigods. So,
You want to say more? You just said Shiva. I'm sure there's a lot of people who would be happy to hear that. But anyway, go ahead. What are demigods?
demigods are basically are, I won't say people, but are formed to allocated to certain like nature, like Shiva the destructor. Ganesha is there to handle like obstacles. They have given particular duties.
Okay, all right.
To perform and take care of the maintenance of this world.
Okay, all right. Okay. Lord Shiva is not a demigod, just FYI. Everybody else you're right about. All right. Anybody else wants to add to it? Who are the demigods?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Go ahead.
Yes, so like in case of like if somebody has started a startup, so the founder and CEO is there somebody. There are different managements, like somebody is taking care of the marketing part, somebody is taking care of the finance
But
part,
who's that
somebody is
somebody?
taking care of the.
How are they different from us? How are they different from God?
So they are actually the beings who has done some tapasya in their previous life, and
Who are they?
Demigods. Really.
But so what category are they?
Sorry,
Are they
I'm not
God
getting it.
category? Are they Shiva category? Are they Jiva category? What category are they?
They are also in the category of Jiva only.
Yes. Okay. Can you be a demigod if you wanted to?
Yes, Prabhuji. It is possible.
All right. Sounds good. Okay. Anybody else wants to add anything to it about demigods? Janak Prabhu, would you like to add? Who are the demigods?
Prabhu, I remember I think in the second chapter, Lord Krishna says that when Lord Brahma created this world, he created the demigods and humans for it to create a proper cycle of, you offer to demigods and they will give you the desired riches. So that slowly we gradually develop, at least come out of the propensity to enjoy without working. So at least we work, do yajna, and we get some results. So it's a temporary, it's kind of a cyclic arrangement created by Lord Brahma on Lord Krishna's wish, I suppose.
Okay.
They are higher authorities, as they say.
Higher authorities.
Something in between Krishna and us, I suppose.
Okay. All right. So demigods, so everybody is right. I'm just adding a little bit to it. So demigods, there are, as we know, 33 million of them. And they're in universal controllers. They are in the ministry where Brahma is the prime minister. Brahma, their birth or their appearance starts with Brahma's birth, And when Brahma dies, all the demigods, their vacation is over and they are born as on this Bhumandala, on Earth planet. So demigods are jivas, just like ourselves. They're not God category. They're not Shiva category. They are jivas. They live as long as Lord Brahma lives. They are on the Swargaloka, right? They live on heavenly planets. They are in charge of various administrations in the universe. And they don't have karma. They are only expending karma, the good karma that they have accrued, and this tremendous lavish lifestyle that they live. And in, like Janak Prabhu said in chapter 2, Krishna glorifies them, and in terms of that they're universal authorities, and one should start their journey, spiritual journey, at least by accepting some authority, right? So it's wonderful to accept the ultimate authority, Krishna, but if that's not visible, then at least demigods should be accepted as authority. And then as one slowly becomes more educated, one realizes Vasudevamam Sarvamiti Sarvamahatma Sadurlabha. So great person realizes Krishna is the ultimate authority. But if that is not available, at least one should offer their respects to the demigods. So that's the tattva that is available. So they are highly empowered, highly powerful, but they are temporary nevertheless. They born and they die, and they take birth again. So, all right, good. Was it helpful to do a little refreshing of our memory? It so happened this is 2021's last day, and we just got Arjun asking some very pertinent questions to refresh our memory. All right. Somebody wants to read the next verse, 8.2.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Go ahead.
Adhiyajna kadam ko atra dehe asmin madhusudana prayana kale cha kadam nyeyo asi niyadatmabhi. Who is the Lord of sacrifice, and how does he live in the body, O Madhusudana, and how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death?
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So another name of Lord Vishnu is Lord of Sacrifice. And so when we do yagya, so yagya purush is actually Lord. So that's why we are pouring ghee in the fire sacrifice. We're putting in the banana, we're putting in teal and things like that. So that's basically supposed to be that we are offering oblation to the Supreme Lord. So, so another name of Lord Vishnu is Yagya Purush, Lord of Yagya. So Lord of Sacrifice may refer to either Indra or Vishnu. Vishnu is the chief of the primal demigods, including Brahma and Shiva, and Indra is the chief of the administrative demigods. Both Indra and Vishnu are worshipped by Yagya performances. But here Arjun asks who is actually the Lord of Sacrifice, or your Lord of Yagya, and how the Lord is residing within the body of every living entity. Arjun addresses the Lord as Madhusudana because Krishna once killed a demon named Madhu. Actually, these questions, which are the nature of doubts, should not have arisen in the mind of Arjuna because Arjun is a Krishna conscious devotee. Therefore, these doubts are like demons. Since Krishna is so expert in killing demons, Arjun here addresses him as Madhusudana so that Krishna might kill the demoniac doubt and that arise in Arjuna's mind. So for a new person, these kinds of doubts come. It's totally understandable. But when a person completely scholar in Vedic understanding, when they have these kinds of doubts, this is a little, like what's going on, right? So that's why Arjun is referring to Krishna as Madhusudana. So every time Krishna refers to Arjun by a certain name, whether it's Kaunteya, Gudakesha, whatever, there is a particular reason for it. And every time Arjun refers to Krishna with a particular name, Madhusudana, Govinda, Krishna, etc., there's a particular reason, because they're best friends, and every word there is a hint, why they're saying what they're saying to each other. It's all encoded messages, right? It's like best friends talking to each other. There's sometimes a jab, sometimes a hint, right? And only best friends know. So this is the same thing here. The fact that Arjun is in doubt, he's asking Madhusudana, he's calling Krishna Madhusudana to kill his doubt and help him out. Now the word prayana kale in this verse is very significant, because whatever we do in life will be tested at the time of death. Arjuna is very anxious to know of those who are constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness. What should be their position at the final moment? At the time of death, all the bodily functions are disrupted and the mind is not in a proper condition. Thus, disturbed by the bodily situation, one may not be able to remember the Supreme Lord. Maharaj Kulashekara, a great devotee, prays, "My dear Lord, just now I am quite healthy, and it is better that I die immediately so that the swan of my mind can seek entrance at the stem of your lotus feet." The metaphor is used because the swan, a bird of the water, takes pleasure in digging into the lotus flower. Its sporting proclivity is to enter the lotus flower. Maharaj Kulashekara says to the Lord, "Now my mind is undisturbed and I'm quite healthy. If I die immediately thinking of your lotus feet, then I'm sure that my performance of your devotional service will become perfect. But if I have to wait for my natural death, then I do not know what will happen, because at that time the bodily functions will be disrupted. My throat will be choked up, and I do not know whether I shall be able to chant your holy name. Better let me die immediately." Arjuna questions how a person can fix his mind on Krishna's lotus feet at such a time. Right. So very pertinent question. Arjuna is asking that who's Yagya Purush, who's, and how should one die? Very, very important question to ask. The art of dying. How can one be engaged in devotional service, know you at the time of death? Because at the time of death, there is so much fear. There is so much distraction. People are crying or whatever else is happening. Or sometimes you don't even know. It's just like, boom, something happens, heart attack, and within seconds, somebody is dead. So what's that process? And, Krishna beautifully answers that in a few verses later. One of my favorite verses. I'll just share it with you, just to give you a preview of that. Krishna says that, "Yam yam vapi smaran bhavan, tyajate ante kalevaram, tam tam evaiti kantya, sada tad bhava bhavita." That when you're leaving your body, at that time, whatever you think, that's your destination. That's where you go, right? Yam yam vapi smaran bhavan. Whatever you think is smaran bhavan, thinking. Tyajate ante kalevaram. Kalevar means body. Tyajate means, giving up the body. Giving up the body, ante, at the end, kalevaram, your body. Whatever you're thinking, tat tad evaiti kantya. Tat tat. So yam yam, tat tat. This is Sanskrit. So whatever you're thinking, that is what you attain. Tat tat evaiti kantya, sada tad bhava bhavita. So that's Srila Prabhupada very beautifully summarized this as life being a preparation and death being your final examination. Throughout our life, we're trying to be Krishna conscious. We're trying to remember Krishna and not forget him. So that at the time of death, no matter what the situation is, circumstances, how quick or how slow that death is, we can remember Krishna at the time of death. Now, here is the good news. One might say, what about when somebody gets into coma? What about somebody, is not able to remember Krishna, although they have lived a devotional life? Krishna is very kind, and he says that I inject myself into your consciousness so that you can remember me at the time of death, right? Not in Bhagavad Gita, but in Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna says that even if you fail to remember me, but you have lived a life of devotion to me, I will inject myself into your consciousness so that at the time of death, you can remember me and come back to me. So Krishna is more than happy to make amends, to bend the rules, to make it easy for us so that, somehow or other we go back to him. So he's very eager to have us back. More than we are eager to be with him, he is more eager to have us back. So he's willing to go to any extent. As long as you've done your part a little bit, right? Krishna will take care. He's telling us, don't worry. Okay, you couldn't do 100%, no problem. I am here. You take a few steps, I'll help you. I'll extrapolate that. He magnifies our activities, and he gives us the benefit of the doubt. It's okay, you tried. I'm here to bring you back, like a real father does, right? He's a real father. And he says, I'm Bija Pradapitaha. I'm the seed-giving father. Very sweet, our relationship with Krishna. So I just had to tell you that rather than going to that verse and waiting for it. And here the Lord starts speaking. So Arjuna asked the questions in the first two verses, and then here onward, Krishna is speaking. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Aksharam Brahma Paramam Swabhavo Dhyat Mam Uchyate Bhuta Bhavod Bhavakaro Visarga Karma Samnyata. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the indestructible, transcendental, living entity is called Brahman, and his eternal nature is called Adhyatma, the self. Action pertaining to development of the material bodies of the living entities is called karma, or fruitive activities. Let's read that one more time. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the indestructible, transcendental living entity is called Brahman. Each one of us are that. We are indestructible. Just like in chapter 2, Krishna says, the soul cannot be cut, it cannot be burnt, it cannot be killed, it cannot be destroyed. The soul is eternal, indestructible. So you're indestructible, the indestructible, transcendental living entity, Satchit Ananda, living entity is called Brahman. And his eternal nature is called Adhyatma, the self, right? The sense of I exist, I am feeling this, my awareness, my consciousness, that's Adhyatma, that's the self. Sense of identity, I identify as an individual. I'm not this blob, right? I identify as an individual. This identity is called Adhyatma, the self. Action pertaining to the development of the material bodies of the living entity is called karma. So when you have the self, you don't just sit there doing nothing. You do something, you do some activity. That's the nature, right? We cannot sit tight, just doing nothing for any, it's just not our nature. So karma, so when there is the soul, there is some activity. And it can be karma, like akarma, or it can be fruitive activities, or karma phala, right? Clear? Okay. Brahman is indestructible and eternal existing, and its constitution is not changed by any time. But beyond Brahman, there's Parabrahman. Brahman refers to the living entity, and Parabrahman refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The constitutional position of the living entity is different from the position he takes in the material world. In material consciousness, his nature is to try to be the Lord of matter. But in spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness, his position is to serve the Supreme. When the living entity is in material consciousness, he has to take on various bodies in this material world. That is called karma, or varied creation by the force of material consciousness. Any questions? Is it clear?
Prabhuji, so at the time of death, when we die, we think about what we think about, we get that, right? And if we think about Krishna, we get to Krishna. Now, whenever we are chanting Hare Krishna, whatever our karma is, good or bad, is getting burnt. So what if our karma is not burnt, but at the time of that we are thinking of Krishna? What happens then?
Doesn't matter. You'll go back to Krishna, or you will be born in another universe in the material realm where Krishna Leela is going on. So Krishna Leela, like Dwapar Yuga, is past in this universe. But there are unlimited universes, as we know, in the material realm. and there's Dwapar Lila happening, one place or another. Now it's here and then it's there, kind of like that. So if your karma is still here, and you're still not fully, Krishna Prema has not developed. So but you're thinking of Krishna at the time of death. So there are various options, of course, how intensely you're thinking. One could be that you're just born in a devotee family where you have complete access to Krishna conscious, environment, or you're born in the holy dham, where again you have access to Krishna conscious environment, or you're born in a universe where Krishna Lila is going on, Dwapar is going on, and you're born where in Krishna Lila. Oh, how cool would that be? So even though you've not gone back to Godhead, but you're in Krishna Lila, and then there you get trained, love for God develops, and then you go after that life, you go back home, back to Godhead. That's how Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes it. Does it help?
Wow, Prabhu, thank you.
Oh, I'm getting chills just thinking about it. So cool. All right. Okay, anything else? Janak Prabhu, you had a question you emailed me about. Why don't you ask that right now? It'll be nice to answer it for everybody else as well. If you feel comfortable, of course.
No, definitely, Prabhu. So I mailed you individually so that, you can judge whether it's the right question or not. Okay. Okay. So maybe my doubt is like, so I'm an entrepreneur. So, I had a lot of desire to bring change in the world, do something good, contribute to the improvement of the world. And that was the passion I used to work for. At the same time, like if we believe, and which I do believe, by the way, but that Krishna is omnipotent and he can do anything. And, I'm almost like not required actually in this world, whether I do or don't do something, which is probably true even from a materialistic perspective. One individual cannot really do much. So how do I maintain my, desire to contribute to the world, at the same time surrender totally to Lord Krishna and think of myself as a non-doer, that I cannot do anything, and Krishna is completely in charge. So
absolutely. So you're not insignificant. That's not the right understanding. Krishna doesn't do anything. Always remember, he plays the flute and he's just flirting with Radharani. We are the ones doing it, and Krishna is empowering us. So just like in Mahabharata also, Krishna is on the chariot. He is not fighting the war. He tells Arjun, hey, the Kauravas are killed. The battle has been won already. I've taken care of everything. You become the instrument and you take the credit. That's all, right? And Arjun is throwing the arrows and everything else, and he is glorified as the best archer and the person who saved the Pandavas' side. So that's the thing, Prabhu. Krishna is not going to directly go to people's houses and knock on their doors and tell them chant Hare Krishna. We have to do it, right? But empowerment to make even one person chant Hare Krishna comes from Krishna. If Krishna doesn't empower us, we cannot make even a single soul chant Hare Krishna or take to Krishna consciousness or be anyway even come close to God. So the empowerment is Krishna's, but our significance is like Lord Chaitanya. He's Krishna himself. He could have pretty much done the whole thing, spread the Krishna conscious movement all over the world. Srila Prabhupada was asked this question, that why did Lord Chaitanya not do this? Why you after 500 years? And Prabhupada said he left us some service, right? He is omnipotent. He could have done it, but he allows us to take responsibility, to do something. So we have a purpose in our lives. It purifies us, and he uses us as an instrument to purify others. That's our role in this world. So, and don't get, sad that, oh, I have not been able to contribute much or whatever else that you're thinking. Maybe you're comparing yourself with somebody. But understand, Srila Prabhupada till the age of 70, he wasn't able to contribute much to humanity, if you think about it, right? He prepared for 50 years. When he was 20-something, 22 years old, he met his guru, Bhaktisiddhanta. For 50 years, he was looking for the right opportunity where he could contribute to the world, to give this gift of Bhagavad Dharma. At the age of 70, he got the ticket, Jaladuta, to go to America. And then the last 14 years of his life, he went around the globe so many times, spreading Krishna consciousness, and did an impact that honestly nobody has done. Even Jesus Christ was not able to do it, right? The way Srila Prabhupada was able to spread this movement so quickly all over the world. So, Krishna has a time for everything, and Krishna has a purpose also. So align with that while we are waiting for us to be that instrument in Krishna's hand. Let's develop qualities. Let's become worthy. So when Krishna needs us, hey, Janak, can you do this service for me? Janak is fully qualified, fully ready, trained up soldier. Yes, Krishna, I'm ready for you. Versus now, maybe Janak would be like, oh, oops, I don't have that skill, or I don't have that quality. Krishna, I don't know how to do that, right? So while you're waiting for Krishna to call you to that, to make that great impact on humanity, on society, let's develop qualities so that when that call comes, we are ready to go without any delay. Does that make sense, Janak Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
Does it answer your question? Voice sounds like you're not convinced.
No, I'm convinced, Prabhu. So it's like, from what I understand, that is what I take away from this is, so he can do everything himself, but
He doesn't.
But for our own growth, like to give us an opportunity to do, he will make us capable of doing something.
Yes, he empowers us.
And
He doesn't do anything.
Right.
By definition, God doesn't do anything. He only enjoys. His job is to enjoy.
Okay.
Taking care of the universes or creation. Who does it? Balaram does it, right? Ananta Sesh, he's holding up all the planets are floating. It's Ananta Sesh. He's taking care of all that. Even spiritual world, Balaram is taking care of all that. Entire thing. Krishna has Lord Brahma. He's taking care of. He's the engineer for the universe. So everything, if you see, Krishna is empowering others to do it. He, as Mahavishnu is lying down, as Krishna, he's playing the flute with Radharani. In every form, as Paramatma, he is inert, right? He doesn't do anything.
Okay.
He is God. We are the ones who are empowered, and we do his. That's why we are servants, and he is the master. Make sense, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu. So, yes.
Does it clarify? Because in the email, I was kind of like, whoa, you're going through a very, very, this was a very turnaround almost, I felt. From where you were progressing, and then suddenly you're like, my vada.
Yeah, no, I become overwhelmed, especially if difficulties come and I find no solution. I'm sorry about the noise at my home.
No problem. No, when difficulties come, it is only natural. But don't doubt Krishna. Just chant, and those moments, just call out to Krishna, like, Krishna, I am confused. Be in Arjuna mode, right? Please dispel my doubt, right? And Krishna will dispel your doubt. He will give you the right intelligence, so with which it'll all go away. But don't doubt Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. And just to confess, I have not been attending these sessions from last 4 or 5 times, I think, for various reasons. We met in Gurgaon, right? And even then I was not attending. So to be honest, life was improving day by day as I was attending the sessions. I stopped attending and I again fell into my, I didn't realize immediately, but after a month or so of gap, I again started going in my confused state. So,
so please attend. When something is good, why not do it? If something is helping you, you should do it more.
And this has happened 2-3 times in my life, I should say. But anyways, yeah, that's personal.
So whenever possible, prioritize Philosophy Friday. Because I prioritize, my schedule. But I try my best, unless my body is giving up on me, I try my best to attend Philosophy Friday as much as possible.
It's very easy, actually. So remotely nowadays.
Sounds good, Prabhu. All right. Good. Anything else? Any other questions?
Prabhu, when you say developing qualities, what are you referring to?
What are the qualities? So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives those qualities of a mode of goodness qualities. So tolerance, respect, austerity, compassion, mercy, truthfulness. So there are 26 qualities of a pure devotee. And in Bhagavad Gita, as we go along, I think anybody remembers which chapter? Is it chapter 17 or chapter 14? Krishna gives the various qualities according to modes of nature. So he describes those qualities. So whenever we are in a difficult situation, we should embrace that difficulty and be like, okay, Krishna, in this situation, what can I develop? With this patience, with this tolerance, with this compassion, right? When we go through, fights, we're like, oh, I want to destroy this person. In that moment, we can, okay, I can do tolerance, I can do compassion here, right? Let me develop this quality. This is my opportunity, right? So that's our life, to develop qualities, to be ready for Krishna. And we have these qualities, only then we can do the services properly.
Okay, bro. Yes, I understand. Thank you.
Sure. Just like when we get a job, we need skills. There are certain skills that are required to use certain tools. So devotional service requires qualities to do certain activities. Otherwise, we'll end up doing a great service that is so-called successful, but Krishna is not pleased, because we hurt devotees on the way, or we elbow people out of the way, or our qualities disturb the hearts of those who are involved in that service. So we look great, everybody's glorifying us, but then hearts are broken around us, and that's not pleasing to Krishna. So qualities help us do services in such a way that everybody is pleased and Krishna is also pleased.
Okay, got it, Prabhu. Got it.
Okay, have a good night and have a wonderful new year. I'll see you in the new year next Friday. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Hare Krishna, everyone. Have a good night.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Krishna.